Hello, welcome to the video. The purpose for this video is to really focus on educating beginners in how to use Blender. So if you already have some experience with Blender, this might not be suitable for you, but if you're just here for a quick refresh, please continue on listening. So also with the basic level that we're going to be going at, this is going to be more for college level and maybe just an intro to university level stuff. So I'm not going to be going through a lot of advanced stuff in this particular series, but I will be covering a little bit more advanced techniques and other bits and pieces that involve Blender and more advanced tools in other videos on one-off spotlights and so on and so forth like that as well. But this video is mainly just focusing on teaching the basics and getting the ball rolling in learning Blender. Now, enough of me rattling on about who this video is for, and let's start discussing what is Blender. Okay, Blender is a free open source 3D computing graphics software where we just start creating, and the open source means that anyone can use it for free and you can essentially sell whatever you want, and you don't have to pay any royalties to anyone. Okay, so Blender has been used for modeling, sculpting, texturing, rigging, animation, simulation, rendering stuff. So this is a very good tool for, especially when you're starting out and you don't have a huge amount of money to spend, or you don't have a huge amount of money to really experiment and get some of the higher, what you would call industry standard softwares like 3ds Max, Maya, ZBrush, so on and so forth. So this is a perfect tool for independent developers. So just to provide a little bit more background, 3D is a very versatile system. So you can see it in many different industries as well, and you can start thinking about like if you've watched, like, say, Toy Story or Monsters Inc. All of those were created in 3D softwares and they were 3D animated. Any visual effects that you might have seen might have been made in specialist software, and you can do visual effects in Blender. Again, obviously 3D art, if you're interested in doing any 3D art, fantastic. 3D printing as well, just printing any models. If you're very much interested in D&D and want to create your own miniatures, that is a perfect way that you could use Blender. Motion graphics, interactive 3D applications, virtual reality. There's loads of different things that you can do, and knowing 3D skill can open up doors to you in many different industries as well. It's not the golden bullet, but it can help you with getting your foot into the door. But having some 3D knowledge can help you in, for example, engineering, aerospace, marketing, and all that kind of stuff. But also, the big one is video games. Anyway, so enough about the applications of what you can use with Blender. Now let's get into what is Blender. Okay, so again, with Blender, you're really going to be working with 3 different selection modes and everything like that. And I'm going to start going into some terminology now with you. So on here, when you first boot up Blender, you'll get asked about different preferences and everything like that as well, and you'll get like new file and all that kind of stuff as well. We just need a left click off this. So let's start off with some terminology. Okay, so to select a model or create a model, you need to understand that there are different ways to select and move objects around as well. And again, 3D models are made up of polygons, and the more polygons you have, the smoother, the more detailed of a model that you can create. Doesn't mean that it'll be the best model, because again, you need to know how to utilize the different tools. Anyway, so currently what I have up is number one is a vertex selection mode. So this is a vertex right here. So this is going to be focusing on just where multiple edges and everything converge and have one singular point. So this is known as a vertex. This is known as an edge. So again, where two vertexes join and are joined, it creates an edge. And when multiple edges are connected, it creates a face. Okay, so these are the main three selection components that you need to know when 3D modeling, and this is basically where you will be using them as well. So for 3D models to work, you need to know how to put them together and everything like that as well, but there is a limit. So you need to make sure that you're not creating what we would call as n-gons. N-gons can be quite interesting to deal with, but to understand that, I'm going to make sure to give you an example, like so. So right now, we've got, with this face selected, we've got what we would call a quad. So it is a face with 4 edges or 4 vertices. And then we've also got a tri here. Again, 3 verts or 3 edges. An n-gon is a face that has more than 4 sides. And we want to try and avoid those because it can cause a fair few issues with lighting, texturing, and everything like that as well. I've got an example just here with some light to show what I mean. As you can see, there's some lighting issues as well. It's not bouncing off the faces correctly, and as you can see, it doesn't really show a huge amount of depth. If you look over here, you can see that there is a little bit of depth and there's still some curvature to the walls, but with this section here, it just doesn't. It's not showing anything. It's not giving the player or the artist any sort of information like, oh, is this curved, is it quite deep, or anything like that as well. So we just want to make sure we want to avoid them because they can cause a lot of issues in the future as well. But let me minimize that. So the main purpose is just to make sure that we are modeling with tris and quads, so we can make sure that we have an uninterrupted edge flow or geometry as well. So that is the main purpose for making sure that we are working with either quads or tris. Okay, so try to make sure and try to remember all of these different terms and terminology, because again, I will be using a lot of them when I'm in my videos as well. Okay, so let's just go back. Now, let's go over some of the UI before we continue. Okay, so at the top here, okay, we've got our different workspace tools. Okay, here we've got the object and edit mode where we can change things over. So we've got our object mode currently selected where we can move objects around, and we can change it over to edit mode where we can actually edit the different objects that we've got selected. Okay, then we've got our toolbar just to the left here. Then you've got your animated timeline down here, got your hierarchy, or what you would call the scene outliner, and then you've got your property tabs along here as well. If you're not too sure what each of these do, all you need to do is hover over each of the icons and they'll give you a small little quick description of what it is as well. So currently we're in object, and this gives us the object properties. The main ones that we're going to be using in this particular video is going to be the modifiers tab here. Okay, and then finally we got our main viewport here as well. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly turn on my screencast so you can see what I am doing. Okay, like so. So the main thing that we're going to be doing is just getting used to Blender and how to use it. Okay, so the main thing is just to get used to moving through the viewport, moving objects around, and everything like that as well. This is the main purpose, is just getting used to the basics of Blender, how to move, how to navigate it. Okay, so let's get started. So to pan, or let's just say rotate and move the camera, you just need to press your middle mouse button and you can rotate your camera around like so. Okay, if you want to pan, press and hold shift, middle mouse button, and then you can pan your camera around. If you want to zoom in, you can either use your scroll wheel, moving forwards and backwards, or if you want to have a little bit more control, press and hold control, middle mouse button, and you can move your mouse forward or backward, and it gives you a little bit more control in how far or how fast you go as well. Okay, so that can be useful in certain circumstances as well. Okay, so if you want to snap your view, you just want to press on hold Alt, middle mouse button, and move your mouse in different directions. You won't be able to like move it around like that. You have to move it in a horizontal or vertical fashion as well. Okay, just keep that in mind. To focus on an object, okay, press the decimal point on your number pad. Okay, so if you're not too sure where an object is in your environment, you can just select on that in your hierarchy or in your outliner and press the bullet point on your, not bullet point, decimal point, sorry, on your number pad, and it'll take you to that object as well. Okay, so to keep this also in mind, the different colors. So the red line going along here, that is the x-axis. This is the y-axis along here. You can change some settings around, and to get the the z-axis, so you can have the z-axis going up and down as well, but it has it off on default. So that's completely up to you, and if you want to have that on as well. Okay. You also got your navigation gizmo here. So if you're only using a mouse pad or anything like that, you can just grab this and then you can rotate your camera around like so, and everything like that as well. Okay, and you've got your different buttons along here if you want to zoom in, zoom out. So if you're using just a mouse pad, you've got all of your navigation tools here as well. Okay, so now we want to focus on movement. So left click on the box, okay, and if I drag these out, these will give you all of the names here. So we got some move, but usually it's known as grab. So we press G to grab, okay, R to rotate, and S to scale. Okay, and to move them along a certain axis, you want to press G, then press Y. You don't need to hold anything down, you just need to press them. But if you want to cancel anything, right click. So let's say G and Z, G and X. Same with the rotate. And same with the scale. Okay, so you can do the same, so you just need to press the shortcut and then it'll bring up the action, and then you can press the different axes that you want to use as well. But if you're not too keen on the actual movement of the instant movement and not being able to have a huge amount of control in your own opinion, you can use the gizmos when you select the different tools as well. So you can use the different arrows, and there are just some people who just like using these better as well. So that's completely up to you, and you can change them in your edit or in your preferences as well. If I go into, which one was it? So you got different bits and pieces along here, so you can change things. So if you want to emulate 3 button, you can have, if you have side buttons on your mouse, you can change that essentially to act as the Alt button as well. Okay, so there was a button somewhere, if I can see it. But again, it's just making sure that you go through all of these different tools, just so you can see if all the different types of tools that you want to use and your own preferences as well. So just have a bit of experiment with all of these and see if they suit you as well. Okay, so this is what I was looking for, tool keys. So you can either use them as immediate or active tool. So if I press that, close that down, and press G, it'll bring up the gizmo instead as well. Okay, so I am going to leave them on default settings. So whenever I press G on the object, it'll act like this as well. Okay. Anyway, so also to move, you can press Shift to slow down and move things with a finer precision, or you can press and hold Control and you can use it as to snap to the grid. Okay, so just keep all of those in mind. One final thing, if you want to press G, but if you want to move an object along 2 axes at the same time, you want to press G, Shift, then Z. Okay, so the Shift, and then you press the axes you want to basically just tell the object not to listen to. Then you will move the object along 2 different axes. So let's say I want to move it along the Z and the X axis. I'll press G, Shift, Y, and then I can move the object like so. Okay, and that's the same with the scale tool as well. Doesn't quite work with the rotate, unfortunately. Okay, so let's start thinking about adding and getting rid of objects. Okay, so to delete objects, you can press X, and to bring them back, Shift A, Mesh, Cube, or again, you can just right click as well, but it also gives you the shortcut there if you want to use it, or you can just press the delete button, your choice. Okay, whenever you add in a new object, it'll bring up the different properties, and you can edit the properties and how everything is through here as well, but you can do it in your object properties here. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. Oh, pressing the wrong buttons here. There we are. Anyway, so let's get on to the first task. Okay, let's focus on familiarizing ourselves with the tools. If you need to go over some of the tools and everything like that, go back to in the video so you can go through them all again. But for your first task, let's just try to make a very basic and quick train as well, so just using primitive objects. Okay, so I'm going to use just these tools up here. I'm not going to use the shortcuts. I'm just going to use these gizmos up here to create my train. Okay, so all I'm doing is just using the basic gizmos and the basic tools just to create a nice little train here. Shift A to bring in a new object. I'm going to bring in a cylinder, going to move this over here, rotate it. Going to use Control to provide a more accurate rotation, like so. Use Scale, scale it up to create, and use the gizmo to make it slightly bigger. Like so. Trying to make a simple basic train. And if you want to duplicate objects, Shift D. Okay, this will only just duplicate and create a new separate object as well. But we will talk about duplications and instances and everything like that a bit later. For right now, let's just focus on creating this as well. So now, first things first, now I just want to try to create a cap for my little train here. So I'm going to bring in a cone. So with this cone, I'm going to bring down the vertices to 4. I'm going to increase the radius. I'm going to rotate this by 45 degrees. I'm going to move this up. It's a little bit of a pyramid, but I don't want it to be that harsh, so I'm going to get the scale and move it in the Z axis, like so, to create a nice little hat there. Now, I'm going to press Shift A. I'm going to bring in another cylinder. I'm going to move this to the side here. I'm going to rotate it again using Control again to rotate it 90 degrees. Then I'm going to scale it to make it a bit more of a wheel shape. I'm going to scale it a little bit larger. Do one of those classic large wheel ones. Bring that a bit lower. Shift D to duplicate. Right click to center it and move it over to the other side. Now I'm going to duplicate this large one, but I am going to scale this down a bit. Try to get it into a little bit the same height. And again, duplicate a couple of times. Okay, so now the front just seems a bit boring. So let's bring in a UV sphere. Bring that to the front, and let's squash this on the y-axis. Move it in like so, bring it down a bit, and scale it up to fit. So that curves off that little end. I'm going to bring in another cylinder. I'm going to move this up. I'm going to rotate this by 90. I'm going to squash this similar to our wheels. Going to enlarge it. Going to move this down to try and create some ribs. There we are. So I'm going to duplicate, then press and hold Control to accurately move. There we are. like so. Shift A. Ooh, which shall I do? Let's make a little chimney. At the very front. And make this look like a very creepy Thomas the Tank Engine. Let's bring in a monkey head and rotate this 180. There we are. And there's our very creepy train just by using primitive objects. That is quite haunting. It's like a cursed Thomas the Tank. Anyway, so now we're going to go into looking into some edit mode tools. But I'm going to move all of this out of the way. Ooh, play nice. Bring in a new box, like so. I'm going to look into some of the tools. Okay, I am going to go through this quite quick, so if you need to slow this down, please slow it down in the video settings, but I'm just being very conscious of time because I don't want this to be a very long video. Okay, so extrude region. Okay, little tips is to make sure that if you're using the shortcut version and you right click, it hasn't cancelled it, it's still there. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But when you're using this, this is just pulling out and creating new geometry for you, like so. Okay, so the yellow handle is just indicating that it's like where, if you're pulling it, where the actual thing is going to go. Inset face, it can be used very well with extrude region, and you can just create, it's basically just creating a nice little small little face within another face as well. And you can use extrude region to create nice little holes in your mesh as well. Bevel, I would suggest that you use this with more of the edge tool or edge selection mode, and you can pull this away and it can essentially smooth out the edges for you. Okay, if you hover over them, they will give you the shortcut for it. So for this, it will be Control B, and if I do it on this side using the shortcut Control B, you can have a lot of control. If I use the scroll wheel by moving forward, moving back, I can control how many loop cuts I can add as well. And then this menu will come up, and you can always change the shape to make it a bit more sharper, or invert it, or anything like that. That is completely your choice. You have a lot of control with this panel here. To go back onto the inset face quickly, it's just to use that. You want to press I to insert face, and then extrude region is E as well. Okay. For loop cut, you can use Control R, and then you can scroll wheel similar to the bevel. You can add as many loop cuts you want as well, but also you can just left click on it and just left click onto your mesh. But again, you can also use this menu to increase the amount of loop cuts you have. When you use the shortcut version, you'll have multiple stages where you can press left click and it'll say, okay, let's move it between these polygons. Is there any specific location where you want to put it? If you want it just in the center, just right click. So it's left click, right click, then move on as well. Then you've got the knife tool as well. I prefer using this in the vert selection mode, just so it's a bit easier to see where you can connect points together and everything like that as well. So you can left click and then right click to cancel the continuous cut. and you need to press enter to confirm so it can make those official cuts. Because if I like this particular system because it doesn't make it permanent until you press enter, they can always change it later if you want as well. Those are the main ones that you're going to be using as well. Okay, so with that being said and done, that was a very quick tutorial into all of the different tools in edit mode. Now I want you to use these tools to create a vase. Okay, I'm not going to do a commentary over this. I will just do a time lapse, but I will have the screencast here to show what I am pressing as well. It will be a quite quick time lapse, so just make sure to slow it down if you want to follow it bit by bit. But I do recommend that you try it yourself first and experiment and again essentially fail, and then analyze your own work, seeing okay, where did I go wrong, and then review the time lapse to see okay, this is how I done it. Okay, so get going, and I shall see you at the very end of the video. Now that you've watched the time lapse, you might have noticed that I've used a couple of tools and bits and pieces that I haven't taught you in beforehand. So I'm going to quickly show them to you now. Okay, just to explain, my modifier tab here will look a bit different because I do have a couple of add-ons selected, but all the information you need is still the same here as well. Okay, so to make sure, well, to follow along, make sure that you're in the edge selection mode, just to see this a little bit easier. And press and hold Alt and then left click on any loop that you have as well, and that this will just select the entire loop you've got. You can do the same with faces as well, and you can do the same with the vertices as well. But with the faces, it can be a bit difficult to say, oh, I just want this loop, but you accidentally get the vertical line. So to make sure that you get this right, okay, press and hold Alt and you go towards the closest edge where you want that loop to go as well. If you want to go vertically, you select the horizontal vertexes, the edges, or you select the vertical edges to go and create that loop. Okay. The modifier I used was the solidify modifier. So if you have any planes or anything like that, this will just make it into a bit more of a solid object as well, to make it look more like a vase instead of just something made out of paper. Okay. But again, I will go through the modifiers and how to use them on what the majority of them do in a later video. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this very useful and you have a bit more of an understanding of how to use and how to navigate Blender as well. If you do have any other questions, put them down into the comment section and I will try to answer them as quickly as I can, but I cannot promise I will get to your particular comment, so hopefully others would have answered your questions as well. If you have any particular feedback on how I've done my videos, because again, this is still very new, please give me some feedback where I can improve on, like any particular pointers that you may have. I am more than happy to listen and adapt and learn myself. Okay, well, I hope all of you have a wonderful day or night or evening, whatever you're doing at the time, but I shall catch you all later. Bye.